the second one is the Spirit Communication course. And this is one which was requested by many of my students in different parts of the world, because they said, we would like a course to help us to be able to communicate with Spirit better, more clearly, and more certainty. And so the day after that, which is the 30th of May, Sunday, we're going to be doing the Spirit Communication course. And in this course, we're going to be looking at how Spirit communication works and what Spirit is, because first of all, there's a lot of misconceptions about Spirit. We're going to be looking at the fact is that to be spiritual is not to be different from your normal human state. In fact, quite the opposite. Spiritual people are very grounded. Spiritual people are very connected with Earth. Spiritual people are very useful, practical people. They're not head in the clouds type of people at all. And this is one of the things that we are going to be exploring. And I'm going to show you quite a few examples visually of how Spirit manifests. And some of pictures that I've taken myself, some of pictures that I've done by other people. But the fact that is that Spirit is not something outside the human being. It is who we are. We are all Spirit. Our human bodies are only a temporary garment that Spirit puts on whilst we're in this earthly experience. But when we leave this garment, when we leave the body, we are the same as all other Spirit. And so we will really be exploring what Spirit is and who we are, and then the different modes of communication with Spirit. I'll be particularly talking about the pendulum, and I would ask anybody attending the course to have their own pendulum, please. But if you don't have that, then there are other means that we're going to explore. Some people use a type of rod called a tensor, which is a sort of bendy rod, and it produces much the same effect. Some people use divining rods. Some people use their fingers in different ways. Some people use kinesiology. This is a very good way, actually, to communicate with Spirit. And essentially, all those means use the same way in which Spirit works. So we're going to be looking at how Spirit works and how these different ways work. And then we're going to look at different challenges we get when we communicate with Spirit. Sometimes, for example, a trauma happens. Catherine's just lost her dog. That's very traumatic. And when you get an emotional trauma, what happens is your emotions get so activated and clouded up that we can very easily lose our Spirit connection during emotional traumas. And how to restore them and how to use the essences. So in fact, we're also going to be exploring how we use the essences to improve Spirit communication and to restore Spirit communication when it goes off, when we can't make a connection. Also, there's a lot of fear in Spirit communication. A lot of people are actually afraid of it. People are scared. I certainly had a huge amount of fear when I was a teenager. I had this terrible fear of seeing ghosts, and it really tormented me for quite a few years. And I really understand on a very deep practical level why people are scared of communicating with Spirit, why there's fear around it, and how some people do either consciously or unconsciously communicate with evil spirits, communicate with sort of darker beings. And we're going to look at essences, how to protect you from this, how to tell how you might be communicating with a darker spirit, how to avoid that, and how to bring in high spirit to help you to overcome that challenge. Also, how to find out the name of your spirit guide, how to actually start to work with different spirits by finding out their names. Not a difficult process. It's quite easy and straightforward. And how spirit reads our consciousness. What happens is when you're having a spirit communication, before you can even enunciate your words that you want to communicate to that spiritual being actually is already responding to you. Why are they responding so fast? It's because they've already read your intention before you've even brought the words out. So that's an interesting one. And, you know, those of us who are getting older, and we're thinking, okay, you know, we're coming to the end of our life, you know, what was the whole meaning of things? When we really discover spirit communication, all that fear of death goes, all that uncertainty, all that anxiety, all that trepidation about the dying process just goes. Because when you come into a flow of spirit communication, there is no difference to me talking with Nadea, the goddess who is guiding me now, and me talking to you. There's no difference at all. And I've even started working with the highest divine beings, and they're opening out my inner ear. Now, they're only doing it now, so I don't need to use a pendulum at all. So, you know, we explore clairaudience, clairvoyance, why these gifts come to some people, why they don't come to others, why it doesn't really matter in the long run if they come to you or not, because wherever you are with spirit communication, there is always a very fertile and important area to work with. You know, we all have our agendas, we all have our work programs to do with the spiritual world. The spiritual world is there as a very real way in which to explore who we are, develop ourselves, and to master our own lives. You see, we're not meant to be weak victim people whom are all herded together by mass fears propagated by the media, which is what's happening upon planet Earth right now. We are meant to be masters of our lives. We're meant to be strong. We are meant to be in control. We are meant to be powerful. We are meant to know power and use power. And of course, spirit communication can tell us and share with us how to use power in the best way. You know, power comes with responsibility, or should we say responsibility comes with power. But so many people don't use power responsibly, and therefore the world is in the mess that it is. But spirit also is a wonderful guide and a teacher to how to use power in the right way, how to use the power of love instead of getting stuck with the love of power, which screws life up, as we see daily in our lives. And one of the lovely things about New Zealand is you're slightly away from a lot of the nastier elements in the world, which are very manifested, by the way, here in England, especially down in London, and in the United States and in Europe and China. There's a lot of very dark, nasty elements being manifested there now. And spirit can really help to protect us. And we and we sort of go through all the essences and the ways in which we can get full protection from spirit as well. And then we share, we share quite a lot of stuff. We can share our own experiences, and we can really develop that whole thing. So that's an extremely interesting course, which in fact we're doing on the 30th of May.